Morning, Bruce.
Hey, how you doing?
Not so good.
Not so good. I agree with you. We'll keep our fingers crossed, huh?
Right.
Are you on Captiva, Jay?
Yeah, I am. I've got condo near the airport that I'm going to be evacuating to probably after this meeting.
Okay. Have they issued an evacuation now?
I haven't seen one. I'm hoping Jeff, I haven't seen one since last night. I'm hoping Jeff Paul will have an update for us.
Yeah. I saw Sanibel had issued one, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, we have Sergeant Rich Steltman on the phone from the Sheriff's Department. We have Jeff
Right.
Powell, Captiva Fire Chief. We have John Wade from CEPD. He's also available to discuss.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, he's here.
Terrific.
Dave, are you morning, Dave.
Good morning.
Are you running, I got an email from somebody asking to let them in. And it's MM, I don't know who it is. The phone number is 908-803-0288. Do you see anything like that?
Why did you, are they texting you or emailing you?
They emailed me.
Why don't you just ask them who they are? And they should be able to. We could post,
I'll send them the link if they,
okay, send them the
Yep.
link. And if there's somebody that we need to hear from, then we will um, we'll make them a panelist.
okay.
Yeah, I think we're supposed to have Diana Wilson from IWA in on this meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey Jay, it's Jeff, Fire Department. I did talk to Diana just a little bit ago. I
Uh-huh.
know she was out in the field then, but she said she is gonna make sure she tries to get on this call this morning.
Okay,
So,
good.
so if she's late, that's why.
Oh, it's Linda trying to get in. I'll send her,
Linda Laird.
yeah,
Okay, well,
I'll send her that link.
yeah. And Catherine, we'll let her in when she sees her. I don't know who Baby Blue is.
That's me.
Who's you?
That's Linda.
Oh, hey, Linda.
Okay, Linda's in.
Okay, they can hear me, but I don't think anybody can see me.
No,
I
we
just
don't.
see baby blue.
Okay, good. Then I'm in. Thank you.
All right. It's 9:05.
Okay, I guess we will get started. Welcome everybody to the October meeting of the Captiva Community Panel. I'm Jay Brown, president of the panel. I'm going to try to make this a very brief meeting because I know we're all busy making preparations regarding the storm. So quick roll call, David Mintz,
Here, thank you.
Ann Brady,
Hi, good morning.
I mean,
Ken Gill was not going to be here, he told me. Marguerite Maville. Bruce McDonald,
Yep, I'm here.
John Jensen,
here, Jay.
Tony Lappy. Linda Laird, we know.
Here.
Sandy Stillwell. And lastly, Ken Suarez.
I think Ken is trying to attend to some emergency situations.
Okay. All righty. Well, we have easily a majority of people, so that is good. We start off with approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Could I have a motion?
I'll move it.
A
A
second.
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 Any discussion about last meeting's minutes? All in favor, say aye. Raise your right hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Minutes passed. Okay, well, let's start off with Jeff Powell. Jeff, you have a latest update for us, what it looks like?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Unfortunately, not meeting under good conditions today, but I'll go through a few updates and then obviously answer any questions we have at the end. So I'll do a brief weather update. I'm not going to harp on it. I'm sure everybody's either glued to the TV or watching or online or whatever. So I'll just briefly cover that. I'll go into during and post during the storm and then post-storm activities and what to expect.
Right.
And we'll just kind of cover those few things, and then whatever else you guys need from me, just go ahead and ask at the end.
Okay.
So currently we're sitting at a Cat 4. The storm has reduced back down from a Cat 5 down to a Cat 4. That doesn't mean that it can't go back up. It's kind of expected as the storm starts to grow in size. Sometimes they lose a little bit of strength as they're growing. So yeah, it dropped to a Cat 4, but it's also gotten a much larger wind field. So the difference between 4 and 5 isn't the key right now. They do still expect it, as traditionally happens, to reduce in size, strength anyways before landfall. So they're still thinking hopefully a Cat 3 at landfall. It's going to be somewhere likely just south of Tampa. The key point to take away from all of the weather updates as everybody sits there and glued to either the local channel or the weather channel or whatever it is. At this point in the storm, the important things to watch isn't necessarily, does it slightly move north or south? Is it Tampa? Is it Sarasota? Because either way, anything north of us is going to give us a tremendous amount of surge. We're talking major devastation, possible life loss, surge levels. So if it moves a little bit between Sarasota and Bradenton, don't think, oh, great, we're out of the woods. At this point, somewhere between us and Tampa is worst case for us. So unless this storm went all the way to the Panhandle, which we would still see surge from, or if it went down to Naples. And as of now, looks like there's about a 0 chance of this going to Naples. So,
Well, it seems like it's been a very consistent storm track, the last 2 days.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. The track is very consistent. There hasn't been a lot of changes, like I said, other than little, what they call wobbles, just slightly north and south. So it's not making any changes on this track that's going to really make a big difference for us. The storm has, like I said, increased in diameter. That wind field's gotten larger. So the larger the wind field, the more spread out the impacts are going to be. And that south side of that storm, that southeast side is always what they call the dirty side. It's the worst side. And unfortunately, that's where we sit directly in the path of that. So we are weather-wise preparing for this to be worse than it was for us out here. We've had 3 storms recently, and all of them have brought surge. So fully expect that we will get at least as much surge as we just got with Helene, likely more than we got with Ian. Where Ian hit, the worst of that surge was south of us. We're closer to where that beach and Sanibel type flooding was for us out here right now. So they are still predicting 6 to 10. That obviously has time to change. It's going to be dependent on where that thing actually lands and when it lands. The storm has slowed down as another key factor. It is slowed down. So we're not looking to see that direct impact until late Wednesday, possibly early Thursday morning now. So that has slowed down from initial impact projections. With that, our high tide out here is projected at 5:18 a.m. on Thursday morning. So if we're getting a slower storm and it's going to impact us on late Wednesday into Thursday, that means we're getting the worst of the surge during high tide again. So hate to be the
So
bearer.
a high tide adds 1.5 or 2 feet to the surge.
Yeah, I didn't write down what that high is expected to be, but yeah, count on 2 feet on top of whatever that surge is if it hits that high tide. Yeah. I heard somebody mention it right before we started about evacuations. If you have not heard, there are mandatory evacuations for all of zones A and B in Lee County. Obviously, we are A. That was announced yesterday at 12 o'clock. So if any of you on this call are still here, I suggest you make plans to not be here in the near future.
Yeah, it's mandatory. Don't we have to be out by 6 o'clock tonight? Isn't that when?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and let Rich during his update, he can talk about on how evacuations work, how curfews work, how reentry is going to work. I'll let him address all that during his update, because that doesn't really concern us. The only thing that concerns us is it is imperative to leave this island. We are a barrier island. We are expecting major storm surge that you do not want to be around for. I don't care which one of your houses you're in. Yes, there's a lot of that are very fortified, but if you get anywhere near 10 feet of water, being in your home is not going to do anybody any good. If you choose to not leave, if you could send us an email, a phone call, or stop by, so we know exactly where you're at and what the contact info is. So when this storm passes, we can come find you. Because we know people will stay. I have talked to people and they have said there's no way I'm leaving. Traditionally, unfortunately, I don't think Tony's on this call. I don't see him. If he is, hopefully he can respond. But traditionally, every storm recently, we have had people stay at Tween Waters multiple times. No matter how bad the storm is, people always stay at Tween Waters. South Seas has already told me everybody will be out of the resort in there. So if you're staying or you know somebody who is, get in touch with us and let us know so we know where to find them after the storm. All right, so I won't harp on that anymore. Evacuations, we will also be leaving. So when you see that big red fire truck pull off the island, if you're behind us, I'd start driving a little faster because we stay till the last possible moment. So I can't tell you exactly when we're leaving with the projections. It looks like it'll probably be sometime tomorrow morning. We'll leave at the last possible minute once we know we've done all we could, and then we'll evacuate. Re-entry for us, really just it depends. As soon as the winds drop down below that sustained 45-mile-an-hour and storm surge has started to recede, that's when we try and make our way back out to the island. We kind of do it on a two-prong approach. We try by vehicle one way through Sanibel, and then we launch our boat, which we evacuate with. We try and find a boat ramp that's accessible, and then the fireboat then will make its way out via the intercoastal. Unfortunately, we learned with Ian that trying to drive a car from Fort Myers to here, there's a lot of obstacles between here and there. Summerlin is cut open right at the Lighthouse Restaurant, so there's literally only a half a road right there. The causeway has been a traditional problem these last two storms, all the way through Sanibel. Blind Pass is a huge concern for us. That road has not been fortified since Helene. You can see how little there is on each sides of the roads through Blind Pass. And then, of course, just south of Jensen's on the Gulf. We almost lost a portion of that road during Helene. We have done in coordination with the CEPD and DOT whatever they can to try and pile up as much sand to try and create a dune system there as much as possible. But all of those are major concern points for us as far as access on and off this island. So once we do get out here, our main focus post-storm is going to be search and rescue. We've got to make contact and search every property on this island, clear roads for emergency access before any of you can come back on. Again, Rich can touch on how that process works. Obviously, everybody knows you got to have a pass, for Sanibel and this and that. I don't need to harp on that. But our goal, once we get our entire staff out here, is we've got to touch base, usually on foot, and go to every single property and verify, is somebody there? Is somebody not there? And then work on that evacuation process of whoever is out here. Hopefully that is easier as people leave. But that's kind of out of my control at this point. So that's our focus. Once we get through that and we know roads are safe to travel, and we've completed search and rescue, then we can kind of switch to communications and provide some updates via our website. All of this is dependent on communications. We do have Starlink here at the station, so that will be deployed after. Cell phones, we all know, they're hit or miss after a storm, no matter where you're at. So communications will go out. My assistant will be off island, working remotely. So she will be able to provide updates on our website, as long as she is able to have communications and internet, where she's at, as well. We will try and, upload any pictures or videos that are available to our website. Basically the toolbar at the top, that currently gives you weather updates and evacuation notices will kind of switch to more of a post-storm information thing. And that's where we can post any of that kind of stuff.
Jeff, you want to give us the website name?
Yep. It's really simple. CaptivaFire.com. If you haven't been on there yet and looked at the websites, as soon as you log into that homepage, there's a big red toolbar right at the top. It says Hurricane Milton, and right next to it, it says mandatory evacuations. You can click on that, and that'll take you to the most recent updates. So it'll take you to the other section of the webpage. That'll give you
Okay,
the
but
most
it's
recent.
CaptivaFire.com.
CaptivaFire.com.
Will
Yep.
get us to the homepage.
That's it. Yes, sir. So we will not be your main source for power and water and cable and cell phones, all those types of things. That is out of our wheelhouse. We have no control over any of those. As we get updates, we can post them on there. But LCEC and IWA and Lee County Government, leegov.com, those websites are going to be, or those communications that they put out on local news are probably going to be your best bet to find out those updates. Not likely our website. We'll post them as we get them, but we don't get that information any quicker than anybody else does.
Okay,
the
so it's
only
leagueof.com, and what are the other ones we ought to be
time,
checking?
LCEC, I believe it's lcec.com, and IWA, Island Water Association. I didn't write their websites
Yeah, I
down in
know,
front of me,
right.
but I'm pretty sure everybody's probably already logged into their portals on all of those websites. We will also have links on our website to those. So if you don't have it, you can follow a link from our website. It'll be on
Okay,
that.
good.
Roads and debris. We'll do what we can, as we always do after storms, on clearing roads and moving debris off to the side and whatnot. We've been trying to stage heavy equipment here at the station, as you'd expect. Most companies aren't really excited about leaving heavy equipment on the island. So we may have something out here, we may not. But whatever we can access, we will, and we'll get those roads open as soon as we can, because I know you all have property managers, your owners, or whatever it is that you want to get out here to see your property. And trust me, we want you to get out here as soon as possible too. We don't want to delay anybody getting back to their house and assessing for damage or doing what they can. Just please understand that process can take time. The worse the storm is, the worse, the longer it takes us to get through those initial phases. I'll touch on it because it was a big issue last time. During search and rescue, there's a lot of hazards. Propane was one of them with the last storm. If there are propane tanks that are floating, dislodged, and leaking, there is always a potential that we may have to shut off a generator to somebody's property. I have zero intentions of ever doing that, but when we're doing search and rescue, if we've got a lot of propane tanks that are actively leaking, we can't have those right next to a generator that's running to try and keep power on at somebody's house who's not even here. As soon as those hazards are mitigated, by all means, I'm fine. I don't want to stop you guys from using generators, but it did become an issue after the last storm. I know it was addressed on this call. I know there was many communications about it. We're not doing it, maliciously by any means. We want you guys to get your properties back. But if it's a life and death and a safety thing during search and rescue, that is always a possibility. So please understand that and be sympathetic to that.
Jeff, could I just ask one question about the roads when you touched on it? And
Yes.
is there going to be a mechanism where people who live on the island but now are evacuating, and they'll be evacuating probably somewhere in Fort Myers, they will want to know when they can come back? In other words, when the blind pass area will be open, we'll be able to get onto the island. Is there someone taking responsibility, whether that be your office or Rich or someone who's going to let us know when we can drive back onto the island? I know after Helene, people were lined up, around 3 o'clock in the afternoon to get back and wait for blind pass to open, but there was no announcement of when that would be. So
Yep. So generally that is supposed to be a coordinated effort between us and public safety, Lee County Sheriff's Office, and the city of Sanibel. Generally, they shouldn't open the causeway until we can open Captiva. Unfortunately, we have found with the last few storms that hasn't been the case, and they've opened the causeway prior to us having any access through blind pass. And that's exactly what happened during Helene. They opened the causeway at 12 o'clock. Blind pass was blocked till 3 o'clock. So unfortunately, that partnership doesn't always work as it's designed. So keep an eye on what Sanibel is putting out for the causeway. We will do our best in coordination with the sheriff's office on trying to get out communication that we can, whether it's through the panel, through that list in an email, or it's posted on our website. Unfortunately, with the last one, we did that, and it went to Ken, who was on vacation, and I didn't know. So as soon as we found out the roads would not be open till 3, we got that out. But unfortunately, it was too late, and people had already lined up because the causeway opened.
Yeah, I think Ken is still on vacation until, if I remember correctly, October 16th. So
yeah, yep. Ken has sent me a few emails. That's why we expanded that list that we sent our update to that's on our website, and we expanded it to include you. We included David on there.
okay.
I know there's a couple CEPD members that got added to that, as well as South Seas. So that will, as communications allow, that same update will be on our website and will also be sent to that same group for you guys to disseminate to your contact list as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, directly after, communications are usually very limited, and that message is somewhat difficult to get out when the city of Sanibel does not coordinate their opening with ours.
Yeah,
Mm.
so I mean, I think what's fair to assume is that just because the causeway is open, it doesn't mean you can get up.
Correct.
So we will look for an announcement from you, at least it'll be posted on the fire department website, that Captiva will either be open or closed.
Yeah.
After
Yeah.
the close. So
And if you see something from Sanibel that references blind pass, well, then if there's an issue of blind pass, you're not getting on Captiva. So if you see something posted by Sanibel, you can go ahead and utilize that info as well.
thank you.
We do also understand a lot of people try and come out by private boat and come out here instead of driving cars because they can't get out. They try and come out on boat. We do also discourage that directly after. The last thing we need is a ton of people pulling up on all these docks out here on boats and trying to walk around the island. If you're pulling up to your own personal dock behind your property and going to your house and you're not out on the roads and you're not doing stuff, I'm not stopping you from doing that. Just know, as we're trying to do search and rescue, it can be difficult when we start having herds of people walking up and down sorry about that, up and down the road. So just bear that in mind if you get out here by other means, that there are obviously still going to be hazards. Could be power lines, could be propane, could be any number of things out here. Also, directly after the storm, do not expect to see a big informational post go out in an email or on our website within the first few hours after the storm passes. It's just not going to happen. We've got a lot of things that we're trying to establish. We're trying to get the station back open. We're trying to get out here, and we're starting our teams on search and rescue. So storm passes at 5 a.m. on Thursday. Don't expect to go on our website and see an update that, everything is great or this or that by 8 o'clock in the morning, because it's likely not going to happen, right? Those things take time. We will get them out as soon as we possibly can. Trust us on that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So lastly, the only other thing that I really have to cover, and I've already mentioned it, we had surge with the last 3 storms. We're going to have surge with this one. If you're not prepared now, go ahead and get prepared. We do still have a pile of sand. I can't tell how big it is. We do still have some sand and sandbags. We're getting a little late for sand and sandbags, but there is still some out there. That's it. Everybody be safe and wishing the best for the island. We'll be here doing all we can.
Okay, well, Jeff, thanks for that update. Do we have any questions for Jeff that have not been asked yet? Anybody? Okay, well,
Nothing?
Jeff.
No questions?
No, you covered it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, very good. I appreciate you guys, and we'll do what we can. If you guys, I'm pretty sure I'll have my cell phone. Oh, be advised, the station phones are not working. They haven't functioned properly since Helene. So you can sometimes leave a voicemail, but to try and talk on it, the only one that seemed to have luck so far today is our second line, which is 472-5312.
472-5312.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm pretty sure everybody on this call has my cell phone number as well. So you know how to get a hold of me.
Okay.
Thank you,
Jeff, thank you very much for the report, and we know you guys will do everything in your power, to try to get this island as safe as quickly as you can, and we really appreciate the effort you've given us in past storms and know what you'll give to this storm. So thank you for that.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I'm probably gonna have to jump off here in a couple minutes. So if you have something else, just feel free to give me a call. I've got another meeting to run to.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Be safe.
Okay.
Jeff,
All right. Next up, let's go to Rich Zeitman.
Nope.
Rich, are you around?
Yeah, I'm here, Jay.
Okay, good. What
Could you hear me?
comments do you have for us?
Could you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Right. So all my 95% of my notes that Jeff just spoke about those. So just listen to what he said. I mean, this is, from what I understand, is going to be catastrophic. You know, we saw a 3 to 5 foot surge with Helene last week, and we're expecting 6 to 10 foot of surge this time. So those dunes that they were trying to recreate along the berm is probably not going to do much. It's going to cover the island was flooded. The island was impassable for Helene. So if you haven't already evacuated, you need to evacuate like now. Don't wait. Like right after this meeting, just go pack up your stuff and go ahead and go. The sheriff's office, I just want everyone to know, the sheriff's office is ready. I mean, we've got a huge agency. We've got the equipment, the tools, the personnel, and the technology. We will protect this island. Nothing's going to be left unturned on this one. You know, I just want your residents to know that the sheriff's office is ready. Our phones are active. Our phones are fine. 911 operation is going to continue. There are multiple agencies involved. So what we want to do is protect your property. We don't want to, if once you're off the island, we have to worry about your life because you're off the island. You know, I understand that people want to stay on the island. I've worked Fort Myers Beach from the previous storms, and when I was asking folks why they would stay, they said that because they couldn't get back on the island after the storm. And I told them, I said, we'll take care of your property. You know, let us handle it. We've got the equipment and we've got the personnel and we've got the technology. Allow us to do that work. Just, you know, evacuate. Your life is more important. You know, ultimately it comes down to safety and life. And that's the most important. So if Jeff explained all the, you know, the technical things about what's going to happen with the storm and things like that, but the road's going to be flooded. It's going to be impassable. You're not going to be able to leave once the storm comes because you're going to get stuck in the sand, the surge, the rocks. Post-storm, you're not going to be able to get on the island. I mean, like Jeff said, and even David mentioned it, Blind Pass is weak. Blind Pass on the Sanibel side, you're not going to be able to get through. I mean, they're going to come out with equipment right after the storm and try to get what they can up and all the sand out and all the rocks and debris as fast as they can, but it could be many hours. There was mention, when could we come back on the island? That it's going to be hard to say. You know, it could be it could be days, it could be hours. I don't, you know, we don't have those answers. Just continue to listen to the news. I know Jeff said that people are glued to the news, but some people turn it off. But, you know, if you want answers, you'll have to listen to them. The sheriff's office has social media and our website has updates. That's a good source. You know,
What is your website?
It's Lee County Sheriff's Office. Just Google Lee County Sheriff's Office.com.
Okay.
And we have a Facebook page that's constantly being updated with updates and information.
Rich, could I ask you a question? And I think Jeff's still here, or maybe the two of you could possibly answer this. Assuming everybody's right about what's going to happen and we're going to get sand and rocks on near Blind Pass on either side, maybe on Captiva Drive at the Jensen's on the Gulf corner there, etc., which will make the island impassable. Do we have heavy equipment now available, knowing that that's going to happen, available to clear those roads, or are we going to, at that point, try to, you know, get that equipment there from someone? In other words, work that we're going to assume has to be done. I remember Jeff saying he was working hard to get other people to volunteer and to get equipment. to do this, and he got cooperation from sources, but I just didn't know whether we actually have the equipment ready and available, knowing that this is going to require heavy equipment to clear the sand and clear the rocks.
The answer is yes and no, David. It's somewhat complicated. There is a few contractors who have left equipment on the island that they're not picking up and hauling off. If those survive during the storm and we can utilize them, we will. DOT will not stage equipment on the island. They're only will deploy directly after, but they will not stage their own equipment out here. I am still working with a private contractor to deliver me a skid steer that we can keep in the apparatus bay here at the station. But that has not come to fruition yet. Rental wise, like I said, a lot of rental companies won't purposely leave equipment in harm's way. So
Also,
yes
the-
and no. We have utilized Tween Waters and South Seas Resort. Both have been very gracious these past storms and allowed us to utilize their equipment that was still on island that functions. So we do, those are also options, assuming that they run after the storm.
Maybe in the future, one of the things we can do is get a piece of equipment and keep it somewhere. That would be ours for these kinds of situations. Maybe, I'm just saying.
As in buy a piece of equipment or
something like that, yeah. Because it's obviously, we may need to have one available to us at various points to take care of ourselves.
I will tell you, it is convenient for us when we have them to use. The other side of that is technically that's not our job to do. You're paying your taxes to county government that should be doing that stuff as well. So, you know,
Yeah, I was
I don't
gonna
want to
say-
say we have no problems doing it by any means, right? We don't just put out fires, right? We do everything out here. We're the main form of government. We do everything and we will do it. But I do always try and impress upon you that you are also paying somebody else to do that. Now if they won't and you guys are perfectly acceptable, you know, to doing something like that, we always entertain those types of things. Like I said, we try and get them now through other avenues, and sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Anything that's left out here, we do have the ability to commandeer any equipment that is left on the island, and we have done it in the past and we will do it in the future. It's just you can't rely on it being functional 100% when you get back. Nor could you rely on that even if we had our own being here, just because you don't know the condition of the storm.
Right.
So
No,
that's why I say yes and no. Yeah.
I'm just concerned that not only are you doing the work, but you got to figure out how to get the equipment to do the work, and that's
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
a hard task.
Yep.
Just so you know, David, that DOT came out right away and they really did a great job, you know, plowing all that sand and debris off the road. It was a little tricky there at Blind Pass. You know, at the end, it took couple more hours, more than they hoped, but they wanted to do it right, you know. So, but they did a great job. They had the equipment and they were plowing those streets. So
Yeah, so yeah, I do know that came up. Rich is correct. DOT did do all of Blind Pass in there. I know some questions came up on who dumped all the sand back on the beach along Captiva Drive and Mucky Duck. Unfortunately, that was us. We cleared all of that road before DOT got out here. So whatever was moved back out there was done in a matter of safety, because we were close to losing that road right along Captiva Drive directly in front of the shores. So that was one of those where we were able to gain access to some loaders, and then with the help of South Seas sent 2 employees and 2 tractors as well. So unfortunately, sorry, CEPD, that was under my direction.
No, but Douglas Busby from DOT has been terrific in getting equipment
Yes.
out and working with us on that.
Yes, correct.
Hopefully that can continue. Yeah.
Is Busby the main guy at DOT to work with, David?
He seems to be the one who is able to make the contacts necessary to get the work done, and he's been very, very responsive. But I know he's stretched thin because Boca Grande has had serious issues, as well as other places where he's responsible. So it's just something that we have to be aware of, that we're not only we as a panel, we're not only asking the fire department to do the work, but we're asking them to get the equipment, find the equipment to do the work, if in fact DOT, for whatever reason, has other priorities, but so far they've been great.
Okay.
Diana Wilson is here with us at some point, Jay, from.
Yeah, I
Island.
was gonna call upon her next if Rich was finished with his report.
Yeah, I'm finished. I just want to clarify our website. It's sheriffleefl.org. sheriffleefl.org.
sheriffleefl.org.
Yes. Sheriff Lee FL for Florida, FL. sheriffleefl.org.
Okay. Okay, anybody else have anything for Rich? Okay, Rich, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself, Rich.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, let's hear from Diana Wilson, General Manager of IWA.
Morning. Couple updates about your water service. Some rumors or some news media, as I've heard, is that your water will be shut off. I want to say that that is not the case. Island Water will be evacuating, like everybody else hopefully is. We will be switching to a limited loss service situation as of 10 o'clock tonight. What limited loss means is that we are down to one storage tank of treated water. It's a 5 million gallon tank that is connected to a low pressure, low flow diesel auxiliary pump. So the system will continue to be served for domestic purposes. We're talking hand washing, toilet flushing, that kind of domestic use, as long as the 5 million gallons remains. That has everything to do with how our members use that water. So we're asking, please, shut off your irrigation systems before you leave the island. Tell everybody you know to shut off their irrigation systems before they leave the island. It also would be, it is highly encouraged to turn off your individual water services. It can be done in typically one of three ways. At the meter, if you're comfortable, there's two valves, one before and one after the meter. That is the best case. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, the backflow device. If you don't have a backflow device, do your home valve. One of those three options, something is better than nothing. That's not only to preserve the 5 million gallons, but it's also to preserve your property. With this surge coming, if there's a plumbing issue in your home, the last thing we want to do is continue feeding a plumbing break in your homes with water, pressurized
Right.
water. So please heed those two things. Shut off your irrigation systems, turn off your water services. But we will continue to have pressurized water in the system as long as that 5 million gallons remains after our crews depart. But at 10 p.m. this evening, we will be calling for a precautionary boil water advisory. And that's because we will not be necessarily here to control and monitor the system. So it'll be a precautionary boil water advisory from 10 p.m. tonight until we're able to return to island and reestablish service and communicate to the public that all is well and we have sanitary conditions return to the water service. So those are the things to be aware of. Contrary to whatever is being told on social media, Sanibel and Captiva, their water system is designed to continue service during these situations, but it's limited and it depends on how we use the water, how long that exists. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
So
but that's
Diana,
really-
you're saying if everybody cooperates, turns off their irrigation systems, and we don't, use a lot of water irrigating and so on,
Mhm.
people should limit their use of water to personal hygiene needs.
Correct.
And
Correct.
if we do that, we probably would have enough water to.
That would maximize the potential. What can be the kind of the dark horse that comes in is if we have a catastrophic main break, then you know, if the surge creates that situation, then that's an uncontrollable. But if
Right.
the system remains intact, the distribution system integrity remains intact, then yes. The more judicious we can be about water use, the higher probability we return to island with pressurized water system and enough to feed the islands until our return.
Okay. Questions for Diana?
Okay.
Okay, so the main takeaway I have is everybody needs to shut off their water system before they evacuate.
Correct. And you will see media announcements going out to that effect, and the precautionary boil water advisories
Right,
will also
okay.
be distributed by media as well.
Okay, anybody have questions for Diana? Well, Diana, we really appreciate you attending our meeting here and giving us that direction. Much
Absolutely.
appreciated.
Thank you for hosting this meeting, and good luck to everyone. Wish us all well.
Okay, is there a website or something that we ought to be checking?
Yes, so our website, and I heard Chief Powell talk about that earlier, it's islandwater.com.
Islandwater.com.
Yes, we will be posting updates on islandwater.com. We're also working through the City of Sanibel's PIO to issue news releases and media coverage releases. So stay tuned to your local news and islandwater.com.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thanks, Diana.
Thank you.
Okay, next I'd like to call on CEPD, Linda Laird or John Wade, whoever is there.
We're
What?
both here. I would suggest John's been more hands-on. I think he would be better. I think, John, you go first.
He's the president, so we should hear from John.
Good morning, everyone. Much of which Jeff spoke of earlier, I had in my notes as well. I would like to go back to Helene before we address Milton. We were kind of caught off guard with Helene, and I think many of us were, in regards to the amount of sand that came on to the island. And we quickly began to address that and went into some sort of storm cleanup and how it would affect our future beach renourishment that we have planned for the spring. So we divided it into two components, one being short-term immediate needs versus long-term amended needs for the upcoming beach renourishment. Unfortunately, Helene really did have quite an impact on our beach, much more so than we ever anticipated. We were already damaged, obviously, from Ian, and whatever was left over for dunes was pretty much taken out by Helene.
I'm like down the road.
Is that is Sergeant have a question? Is he speaking? I don't know.
Go ahead, John.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Yeah, go ahead, John.
so anyways, Helene really kind of took out pretty much whatever we had left. We immediately went into storm cleanup mode early last week, and we devised a pretty quick short-term plan to contract out a private excavator to help us start removing the sand and generally to capture that sand, screen it, and repurpose it to get back out on the beach as soon as possible. That was basically what we were doing all last week. We had set up a process that was actually to begin yesterday morning, first thing. And then on Saturday, I think we all kind of were told that we had something ahead of us that we had to take more seriously, and we had to pivot from storm cleanup to storm prep. And we quickly reached out to the contractor. His name is Wayne Pitchford. He's been very, very helpful to us in that we didn't have a lot of resources. We did go out to bid last week with 3 different contractors. Wayne came in to be basically the most resourceful for us at the time. He still said to us that he would be able to get his crew on board for Monday morning as planned, except we were going to pivot and change it over from sand repurposing to just immediate mitigation of wherever we could hit the most vulnerable spots to protect the island roads from washing out for this upcoming storm. In working with Jeff and the DOT and some other local engineering and the Department of Environmental Protection, we all agreed that we should concentrate on the S-curve up by Captiva Shores and, you know, what I would refer to as the Jensen curve. The key here in speaking with the engineers is that we only could do so much. We had basically yesterday only. We had about 12 to 14 hours of work. We decided to bring as much sand in as we possibly could. We did explore bringing in from the engineers these things called wrap bags, which would have been much more resilient to the upcoming storm, except that they weren't really readily available, and the ones we could get were extraordinarily expensive. It was going to cost us, the community, up to $600,000 for something that we really didn't even know would make that much of a difference.
Right.
So we opted basically to just give it all we could with the sand. We did explore also in working with Bob Walter, brought us the option of possibly utilizing a set of 40 giant cement culverts that we were going to try to place along that embankment there at the S-curve. But we couldn't make it happen. The engineers said it would possibly work. Nobody obviously knows to what extent any of this will work. But the DEP ultimately said that they weren't in favor of it and they didn't want us to put those in. I did my best to try to get them in. I think they would have made a difference, especially now. I was there this morning. I looked at the final job that Pitchford Excavating put in, and I think that if we had those culverts in there, they would have made a difference, but we couldn't make it happen. Nonetheless, we have added along, I would say, is about 450 feet from the curve all the way down, going southward, a 3-foot high berm that's reaching 20 feet out and is about 6 to 10 feet above the water line. So there's a lot more sand there that was not there previously on Sunday. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed that that will make a difference. It's not really fortified with any vegetation or, you know, traditional dune vegetation or even rocks for that matter. So who knows what this thing will do. The key is to get the water to go over the road rather than under. If it goes under, it'll wash the road out. But if we can direct the water with the berm over the road and we get lucky with maybe, you know, the storm maybe moving north, we may be able to be okay. Nonetheless, we are expecting a lot of that sand to come back, just as it did for Helene. And I will say, speaking to reiterate what was said earlier, the local authorities were, I think, Jeff's crew, as well as working with some people over at South Seas, and they were very responsive. I took a walk up there and they cleared that S-curve road within, I think it was within 24 hours.
Right.
You know, we're going to get the sand. The road's going to be blocked. I think it is a matter of just having the resources to hit it as quickly as possible. I can't speak of blind pass. Most of that problem on blind passes on the Sanibel side. So that's where we're at. We've done everything we can. We do have, we will post some pictures on the website, on the CEPD website, of the berm that we put in on the S-curve to give you an idea of what we're looking at. In addition to that, we also left a giant sand berm at the end of Andy Rossi as well, to try to protect as much of the water flow coming down Andy Rossi as much as possible as well. That is running at the end of Andy Rossi. You'll see there's a mountain there, probably about 25 feet high.
Okay.
And that's it. We're going to immediately go into sand cleanup after the storm. And I would say, I would like all of the different authorities here to keep in mind that, you know, this is Captiva taxpayer sand. We paid for this sand. And there was some, you know, talk about a lot of the sand when we were cleaning up from Helene being repurposed down in Sanibel. And I would just like everybody to keep in mind, if they could just keep the CEPD in the loop on any decisions as to what to do with this sand. We have, from just last week's plan, we have been able to secure numerous sites which we can stage the sand, get it out of the roads, put it into a what I would call a staging or buffer zone, where we can set up a screening operation and get it back out onto our beaches instead of someone else's. And Jeff Brown, kudos to him. He was very, very gracious in allowing us to utilize his empty lot on Tween Waters. And we appreciate that. That was, the initial plan was to store some of the sand there and then ultimately move the sand screening operation over to the Hager Up parking lot and immediately begin to get that sand back out on the beach. I don't see the post-Milton hurricane plan being much different than the Helene plan. We will be working with the same contractor to amend the contract to see cost-wise, you know, depending on how much sand we do get and how much more work it's going to require to do this cleanup. But the goal is to get that sand screened per DEP guidelines and get it back out onto the beach and at least fill in the most vulnerable areas so we can finish out the rest of this hurricane season.
Okay, John, I thank you for that report, and I appreciate everything that you tried to do to restore some of our sand integrity, you know, in the short term we had between Helene and where we are now. I appreciate that work very much. Thank you.
You're
Hey,
welcome.
hey, Jay, can I ask a question? It's Bruce McDonald
Sure,
here.
of course.
Can you just comment on when I can't recall exactly when we were planning on the beach renourishment, and given kind of the scope of the, you know, given what's been happened, I guess what's happened with Helene and what's to come here on the next one, will we have to like resurvey to decide if we need more sand than we had before, Dave?
It's John.
Sorry, John, sorry.
No worries. Absolutely. So most of what I just spoke of just now was all short-term planning to just make sure that we can get our roads cleared and we can repurpose our sand in a environmental way that is up to par with the expectations of the community as well as the DEP. The longer term, shifting to your question, which is more the longer term execution, is we already had contracted with a local dredging contract. It was scheduled to begin on May 1st of 2025, and that is still underway, but we now are taking a step back and working with that contractor and our local engineering group to first, go in and do a complete reassessment of the conditions of the beach and the needs of the beach. It clearly is going to need more sand than prior to Helene at this point.
Okay.
There's going to be an amendment to the existing contract. The contractor was open to the amendment. We're not going to be able to get that renourishment done prior to this spring at this point, but we think if we can get through the hurricane season, you know, this winter should be, you know, rather benign and get us at least into early spring for a much more aggressive beach renourishment that is already set. It's been approved. The assessment has gone through. We got the financing for it and everything else. And just keep in mind, in the background of all of this, the administration and the board is working almost weekly on with the local counties and states and all the different resources to help fund all of these efforts.
Yeah.
we still have a lot of different programs up here that we're trying to secure. So the financing component, although we may be spending more money for this upcoming beach renourishment than we first initiated, we think most of it should get picked up by county and state authorities.
Okay, thank you.
We just gotten a request that people who are not speaking to please mute your microphones because we're getting a lot of background noise and coughing and various other things. All right, thank you.
So
Jay?
if you're not speaking, please mute your computer.
John, did I understand you correctly? And I'm not sure I did. Did you say that we're still on schedule to have a full beach renourishment by May or June of 2025? Is that what you said?
That is correct. There's no reason for us to believe that would be delayed.
That would be terrific. Thank you.
The idea here, the priority in regards to that beach renourishment is having the beach assessment. In basically they do a full-on survey / review of the conditions of the beach, which we already did prior to our beach renourishment contract, but that has to be done all over again. It's a little bit costly. It is something we have to do, but once we get that assessment in hand by the engineering entity that we're working with, it'll allow us to really go out to the state and county governments and show them the extent of which Captiva does need to amend the upcoming renourishment.
Okay. Okay, Jay.
All right, very good. I think I have covered all of the things that I thought we needed to cover, given that we've got a hurricane on its way here in the next 24 to 48 hours. I didn't plan to go through all of our normal routine. I think people are probably anxious to get on with their evacuation plans and so forth. So I think I'm going to close the meeting, but I would like to give anybody any opportunity, have any questions or anything they else would like to see discussed, give you the opportunity to do that before we do close the meeting. So does anybody else have anything that they want to put forward for the panel? I guess I have one thing that'll just take a minute. I've been notified by Verizon that they have completed all the work to get the improved communication system up, and everything is supposedly up and running as of about a week ago. So
Do you notice any improvements, Jay?
well, I haven't had real issues with my cell phone in the past few months, so I can't say that I've
Okay.
had improvements, but I can say that I haven't had the normal frustrations I used to have trying to make a cell call.
Okay.
But I think, we want to keep track now of if we are seeing improvements. They spent a lot of time and effort to try to improve our cell service, putting up the 5 additional small cell towers. So it's a long project. I'm told now it's completed, and we'll just start getting feedback over the next few months as to where now, if we all think we're getting a service level that we deserve out of Verizon. Anything else? Okay, well, good luck to all of you. Let's hope we get through this as best as we possibly can. And I think we've probably got some tough days ahead of us here, and it hardly seems fair given that we've already been through Ian 2 years ago, and then we got Helene on top of that, and now we're dealing with this. But I guess it's the price of paradise, folks. I love living here, and I plan to stay here no matter what. So
never a dull moment.
yeah, exactly. So If nobody else has anything to say, I'll take a motion to close the meeting.
All right.
All right.
A second.
Thanks, everyone. Stay
Okay,
safe.
thank you all.
Thank
Be
you, Jay.
safe.
Yep,
Okay,
you too.
bye-bye.